Good morning all. We are down at my unit and today we're working on something not as exciting as all the stuff I work on, but a full transit. This full transit has got a wet belt failure. So you see a little while ago I done a video on how to change a wet belt on one of these, and obviously this guy didn't take my advice, so the belt has failed. So today I'm going to show you how to save the engine, because most people, a lot of mechanics will say, oh, the time belt snapped, you put a whole engine in it. You can save these engines, I hope anyway. Like 9 times out of 10 we can save them anyway, so I'm going to give it a go with this one. So yeah, let's crack on. I've just about got it on my ramp. My ramp is 3 ton, so it will lift this, because this is probably about 2.5 ton empty maximum. The arms don't quite reach, but I've chopped it up. It should be all good. Basically what I'm trying to say is I have ordered a new ramp, and I just need to get it installed really when it arrives. I'm planning on putting the yellow ramp down here, but move it over, and then I can put my van on the yellow ramp up, and then put the blue Mark II under it. Get rid of all this took, because this is all rubbish. This is all rubbish. I've got a time machine now, which is the old one from work, so I need to find a home for that. But yeah, anyway, I'm going off track. What I'm trying to say is today I'm going to have a go at fixing this. I'm not going to show you how to do the timing belt side of things, because I've already done a very long-winded video on that. So if you want to know how to do the time belt end, go through my old videos, you'll find a video of it, and then you can just watch that and that'll teach you how. But I'm going to crack on. I'll show you some few little clippets along the way. I'm going to start stripping it down. So yeah, let's get to it. Oh wait, want to see some real sketchy stuff. Oh yeah, he's lifted the ramp, lifted the van on the ramp. Oh god damn, it's not ideal, is it? See, show it all to you. How much do you trust your ramp? Me. Just in case. I ain't going no higher than this, sod that. Anyway, back to the van. It's kind of good because the newer ones have got electronic power steering, so you don't have that pump that you have to remove off the front, so it makes life a lot easier. And I'm going to try and leave this, I normally take this pipe off, but I'm going to try and leave it on just to save dumping antifreeze where I'm crawling around on the floor today. So yeah, the reason why I've done it here and not at the other workshop where you normally see me working is because this is quite an involved job. Once I get the belt off, I've got to strip the top of the engine down. And if I don't get it done in one day, then the van can just sit here and stay here, and I don't have to worry about it. Where for the other workshop, I'd have to get it out into the road, which is a lot of pushing. And when it is in the road, there's parking permits. So it costs like £11 a day now to sit outside. And I thought, I ain't paying that. So I've got this lovely unit, as you know. I might as well make the most of it. But yeah, let's crack on. Where did I put my torch? There it is. Right. I got the cover off, and I thought I'd show you guys what I found. Look at that. It's got no teeth on the belt. Stripped the whole lot. Probably don't help that the other garage has probably been cranking trying to get it to go. Which it clearly was never going to go, because all the teeth are missing off the belt. So I need to get this belt off, and then I need to strip down the top of the engine, and I'll show you why. Ah, that was bright. Right, let's crack on. So I've got the belt off, and as you see, it was absolutely furbed. So now I'm going to strip down the top of the engine. I've took the oil filler off that sat here, little screw there, had a little bolt that went in there. Just disconnecting a few things as we go. This is the vacuum pipe for the, let's see if I can do it one-handed, for the servo. No hiss, because it's not running a while. I'm just trying to tuck everything out of the way, because I need to get it here, because I need to remove the injectors. So I'm generally just taking, there's obviously normally an airbox that sits here, but that's in the passenger footwell, because the last garage has already had a go at stripping it down. I know there's going to be some damage because the cam pulley wheels are all loose, and normally they're all quite tight on the lifters and the rockers and stuff. Also, the inside of the engine is really gloopy, so I don't think it's been looked after as well as it should be. But it's okay, we can still save it. It's still cheaper than a whole engine anyway. Just hopefully it will run all right once we put it all back together. But yeah, we'll see. So anyway, I'm going to take off like this ducting, because I don't like stuff in my way. I'm going to take the fuel rail off, and start stripping all this bit down, stuff like that. So yeah, let's crack on. And yeah, man, it's coming apart. I've took the wiring loom off, tucked that all over here. Unplug fuel rail pressure sensor, camshaft sensor. Took the fuel lines off that were over there, tucked them out of the way. I'm just popping the little bleed lead off pipes off, you just slide the little green clips and they unclip, tucking them out the way. And then I noticed it goes down here under the high pressure lines. So now I have cracked off the high pressure lines. I'm literally going to undo all these ones, undo all them ones, take them off and lay them on the bench. I'm not going to bore you, you know how to take pipes off. If you're watching this video, I'm sure you're, you know, if you've got this far, you don't really need me to guide you too much. The thing I'm worried about is getting the injectors out, because I know they stick in the head. But I do have an injector puller, so we'll be all right. Right, let's take more stuff off. Time to do some sketching shit. Why is it just when I start filming they start the motorbikes up? Right, been pulling more stuff apart. Took the alternator bolt out the top and I loosened the bottom one, just sort of swung the alternator forward. Don't know where you can see that, just because it hooks around the top here. Took the little foam thing off. Down the back here, 2 little 10mm bolts to take the bracket off over the vacuum pump, and then 3 little 8mm bolts you need a deep. Took them out and popped the vacuum pump out. I'll show you it, but it's not that exciting. But yeah, so the vacuum pump's off now. So now I need to attack the injectors. So it's just some 10mm nuts. Take them off, 10mm bolts, sorry. Take them off, and then I can take the little plates out, which hold the injectors down, and then pray that they come out the head. So yeah, that's next. Right, let's crack on. Someone is looking down on me. Oh, one. I'm not going to pull them all the way out because I want to blow some of this crap off first. All 4 injectors are, well, not loose, but free in the head. I think I'm going to go and buy a lottery ticket tonight. Right, this is it, the moment of truth. Decided we're going to do this live. Obviously, it's going to be a bit ghetto because I'm a one-man band here. Loosened all the bolts out, obviously pulled the injectors out. I did give it a little clean off and just blow it off with the airline. Some bolts down the back, all the way along, some 8s, mainly 8mm, but most of 10s. Again, I'm sure you can work it out. Now this should just lift off. Might have to balance the camera down. I'll get busted with my personality. Ooh. Ooh, carnage, mate. Absolute carnage. So, the cams, at first look, don't actually look too bad. I can't see any lobes that have spun, but they do feel a bit tight when you rotate them though. Yeah, it's got a tight spot. It's probably bent the cam a bit. But look at the state of this lot. Look. Smashed all the rockers, which I know you think, oh no, that's not good, but that is really good, because the valves sit flat in the head. When the pistons come up and crash into the valves, normally what would happen, you'd obviously bend all the valves, but what it does on this particular engine is it snaps all the rockers. So because it snaps all the rockers, I'm just going to put 16 new rockers in it, try and get all the little bits out of the magnet as best as I can, give it an eyeball, make sure there's nothing seriously looking too bad in there, if you know what I mean. And all being well, we can put a new set of cams in it as well, and it should be all right once we put it back together, but we will see. Right, I am going to pull all of these rockers out. I'm going to throw them in a little tray, and then I'm going to dig around with my magnet, because see all the little needle bearings in the rockers? They're all floating around, so I need to make sure I get all them out as well. And then I'm just going to give it a little bit more of an eyeball, see where we stand. I think the worst thing that's happened with this engine is, 1, the belt's fouled, and 2, people have been cranking it and cranking it and cranking it, trying to get it to fire, but I reckon it'll be all right. Let's give it a go. Pulled all the lifters out, threw them in here. Quite a few of them were broken. Some of them looked okay. Some of them just had like tiny little cracks in them like that. So you have to like eyeball all of them, but for good practice, I'm not going to muck around. I'm just going to change all 16. I cleaned it all up under here. It looks all right. I was worried that maybe sometimes I've seen where they crack around where the lifters sit, but everything on this head doesn't look too bad. I fished around down here with a magnet. Luckily, all the bits that break, they are magnetic, so you can pick them up. But I know it sounds mad, but if any of the little needle bearings or anything like that do fall down through the engine, they're only going to end up in the sump anyway. And worst case, they'll get stuck in the strainer. You know, they're not small enough to go through the strainer, even if they are, but I just really can't see it, to be fair. I've never had it happen. But what happens is they normally work their way down through the engine, and then they end up in the sump. And then when they end up in the sump, they just come out with oil changes. So I wouldn't be overly stressed about counting every little needle bearing, making sure you've got every one. But yeah, so now I'm going to renew all 16 of these lifters. I bought 16 just to be sure. And then start putting it back together and hope for the best. I keep eyeballing stuff. I think, does that look all right? Does that look all right? But it all looks good. Everything's still seated. All the valves are in. Yeah. Well, there's only one thing we can do, really. Put some lifters in it and see how it goes. So, yeah. Let's crack on. I have installed 16 new lifters and rockers. All genuine Ford, of course. If you want to see the part number. Got loads in there, see? There you go. Pause the video. If you want the part number, there it is. To be fair, Ford are pretty good at finding what you need anyway. Just bring them up and ask for the rockers. They know what they are. They're all the same, exhaust and inlet. So, these are the old camshafts, and it's sort of like, they're like camshafts and a rocker cover in one. See all bits of the belt falling out of it, look. Yuck. So, out of good... these don't look too bad, to be fair, so I was tempted to reuse them, but I'm not going to. I've got a brand new one from Ford. For what it's worth, going this deep into a rebuild, you might as well just do it properly, if you know what I mean. So that's why I ordered that. They're about 400 quid, so they're a bit pricey, but again, still cheaper than an engine. Right, I'm going to clean it all up, put the gasket on it, give it a wipe down, give that a little eyeball up. I'm going to time it up with the pins as I've done. You know, if you watch the old video when I did the wet belt, you see how you time the cams up. So I'm going to time these up before I fit them. What I might do as well, I might just eyeball down the bottom of the engine. Actually, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to turn that over to time so I know that that's in the right place. And then I'm going to put all the top end on. So yeah, let's crack on. So, got all the camshafts on, put all the bolts in, I've tightened them all down by hand, they're all nice. I put my little timing pins in and timed them up. I sort of timed up the bottom end to where it needs to be, but I just backed it off a bit so I knew the pistons were down the board just so slightly, so there'll be no contact. Well, that's my thinking anyway, I'm sure it'll be fine. Oh, I forgot to mention, a lot of these bolts were loose when I took this out. I can only put that down to that when obviously the pistons punch the valves, it hits it hard enough to break the rockers, and I think it shunts it so hard that it actually it stretches the bolt slightly, because they were literally like hand tight. I could have undone them with a socket on a screwdriver, if you know what I mean. But I'm sure it'll be fine. Well, if it's not fine, then I just won't post this video. Anyways, let's crack on. I'm going to clean the injectors up. I think the reason why the injectors came out, I think it must have had a set of injectors at some point in its life. They're all covered in this like weird gloopy grease stuff, and it ain't the sort of stuff that you see when, you know, you get blow by and stuff like that, or the injector seals go. So I think someone's gobbed them in grease before fitting them, but oh well, doesn't bother me. Right, let's crack on. So I've got the injectors in. I haven't put them in tight. I've pulled the bolts down but then left them loose because I like to put all the pipes on first. Put the vacuum pump on as well. Always get this top bolt in first, and don't ever pull it up flush with the bolts. It needs to push up flush, and then the bolts need to obviously hold it tight. There's 3, and always put the vacuum pump on before putting this bit of sponge on, because that end bit of sponge there is an absolute nightmare. It hooks over where you're trying to go. It gets stuck between the pump and the, you know, the end of the cam carrier. So yeah, always do that first. There's also this little bracket I need to put back on. Ooh, plug that back on while we're there. That hooks on there. Another stud down the back there. 2 little 10mm bolts, and that all bolts on. Ooh, got all the wiring trapped. You get the idea. You get the idea. It's getting there. It's getting there. I'd like to say it's close, but it's not, because once I've put all this back together, I've then practically got to do all the timing belt. And I still need to take the lower pan off. I don't trust this ramp, so I don't really want to take it all the way up. So I'm going to just sort of take it up, axle stand the ramp, and then I'm going to crawl underneath with my laying down board and do it all on my back. Should really have done this at the other workshop, but yeah, whatever. Right, let's crack on. So, I'm sure if you've got a keen eye, you would have spotted put the injectors in the wrong way. Not the wrong way, as in I put the, you know, the same injector back in the same hole it came out of. Obviously they're coded per cylinder. But I had the bleed off pipes facing forward, which is why I left them loose, he says. So yeah, because they're still loose, I can just twist them round. I've clipped all the bleed off pipes back on, and I'm going to put all the high pressure hoses on first, and then I'm going to torque them all down. So yeah, that's the plan. Then it's like flat the wiring loom back over and stuff like that. Obviously the vacuum pump's done. Put all this foam thing back in as well. Put the fuel rail back on down there. That's just held on with 2 little 8mm. Got to make sure to tighten up the high feed hose from the high pressure pump up. It's getting there. It's all coming back together. Got to plug the fuel pressure regulator back in. Fuel pressure sensors here, that needs plugging back in. It's getting there. It's getting there. Basically, it's going back together. How it come apart? Just some things not in quite the right order. But yeah, I'm cracking on. So, I always start with don't I? So, top end's back together. I just got carried away and started fitting it all up. And put the oil filler on yet. Put the little breather tank on. All the fuel lines are on and tight. Wiring looms all in and plugged in. Refitted the alternator. Had to frig about with that a bit. Put the throttle body back on. That's all tight. Everything's all coming together. I've cleaned the front of the engine up. I've just not washed it off. Just cleaned all the silicone off. I'm now rolling around underneath it at the moment, trying to get the sump pan off so I can get the oil pump belt off, and then I can wash it all down, start tidying it up and see how it goes. Slowly but surely. I'm not going to show you how to do all the wet belt again. I know I've already gone over this like a million times. I feel like I'm repeating myself. Yes, we are getting there. I'm tired. All coming together lovely. I've got it all timed up. Got the belt on. Feels a bit flat. Like I turn it over, it doesn't feel like it's got much kick. But then in all fairness, all the belts I've done and turned over by hand, they never do feel like they've got a lot of kick. But then obviously this one's had a total belt failure, where the other ones were just in for maintenance. So, you know, when you're like starting to doubt yourself, thinking, is it going to be all right? Will it be all right? Will it not be all right? I don't know. So just got to hope for the best. But I've cleaned it all up, slapped the new belt on, slapped the new oil pump belt on, cleaned the one underneath the sump up. Sucks working on axle stands. Yeah, right, I'm going to get the cover on, get that bolted up, just crack on with it, get it back together. Next thing you'll see, it'll be back together. Got the van all back together. Well, obviously apart from the wheels. It's all built up. The only thing I haven't done is coolant, but I want to make sure it runs. I've had the battery on charge, but where it sat for 8 months, the battery didn't really charge up. So I had my charger on supply to just add voltage to it as such. And that kind of worked for a bit, and then I changed it to recondition because I've got quite a couple of good chargers. But it's still not enough to crank it. It cranks, but just really slow. It sounds really flat. So I'm currently untangling my jump leads. I do have a fully charged battery. It's always on trickle charge for this reason, so hopefully this will give it a little bit of an extra kick, he says. Right, let's connect this up and see what happens. Come on, girl. Oh, now it won't let me crank. I'm hoping for a massive airlock. Right, I'm gonna play around and see what I can do. Don't look good though. Put the old brake cleaner straight down its throat. Come on. bridge the clutch pedal down. Lost my train of thought. Where's my brake cleaner? Yeah, there's brake cleaner. Oh, come on. You just run. Oh yeah. Got the boost pipe off. Yeah, the boys round the back had some easy start. I'm going to turn it off actually. Ain't got no coolant in it yet. Boys around the back had some easy start. I was like, run round. I was like, I'm so sorry to be a ponce. You got any easy start? They're like, yeah, there you go. I was like, sprayed it, wouldn't catch. Sprayed it, wouldn't catch. Had all the airbox stripped off and I had the MAF unplugged. I was like, most things run with the MAF unplugged, but they just throw an engine light on. I was like, I wonder if it really, really needs. It's like that important that it wants the MAF. Because I had the boost pipe off as well. So it's not like the MAF would have read right. Plugged it in, first turn, bang, fired straight up. Didn't even need any easy start. I think, fuck for that. Right, put some coolant in it. Put that boost pipe back on, put the airbox back in properly, and I can run it up to temp. Oh, I'm happy. You can tell I was probably getting a bit stressed, but now I'm relieved because I've heard it run, so I'm a happy, happy boy. Right, let me crack on. Do. Another one bites the dust. All's well and ends well. Let's go for a little spin. All right, there's still some things to work through. I've got a traction control light on. I'm hoping that will go out when I drive it. I've got what looks like an AdBlue or a DPF light, but I don't know if that was on before. So, and yes, I am driving while filming, but I'm on a private road, so let's go. Seems right. Oh look, traction control light went out, that's handy. Oops, sorry. Nearly had a head on with a learner. That'd have been good, wouldn't it? Yeah, van's mint, it's all good to go, but I've smashed it up, mate. Sorry about that. Doesn't smoke, seems alright. Turn around in the top yard. Lots of car sales up here. Right, as you can tell, I have a lot of weight off my mind. So, I'm going to call that a happy ending. Hope you like this little video. Like, share, subscribe. Oh, remember, actually, just because they've had a belt failure, they won't all be able to be repaired like this. Sometimes they do bend valves, so you have to have a look. They need to be pulled apart first. But I'm very, very happy. This one's all right. So yeah, like, share, subscribe. Cheers guys, bye.